What happened when an undercover CEO discovered exploitation and neglect lurking within his own aquarium? Incredible viewers, get ready for an eye-opening journey. Today we're exploring the powerful story of Evan Walters, the dedicated CEO of Blue Horizon Aquarium. When whispers of mistreatment and favoritism reached him, Evan decided to go undercover to uncover the truth. What he found was a toxic culture of cruelty and neglect hidden beneath the aquarium's mesmerizing displays. But instead of walking away, Evan took bold steps to rebuild his sanctuary on empathy, integrity, and genuine care for both marine life and devoted employees. Watch how Evan turned betrayal into a powerful story of leadership and redemption. Evan Walker stared out at the sparkling blue horizon beyond the glass windows of his office, his mind heavy with frustration. As the CEO and founder of Blue Horizon Aquarium, he had built the marine sanctuary from a modest coastal attraction into a world-renowned conservation center located along the bustling shores of Monterey Bay, California. Over the past decade, the aquarium has gained fame for its innovative exhibits and groundbreaking efforts to rehabilitate endangered marine species. Evan had poured his heart and soul into the establishment, determined to create a place where education, conservation, and compassion thrived hand in hand. Yet, despite his accomplishments, something felt terribly wrong. Reports of declining employee morale and deteriorating habitats had been trickling in for months. Emails from guests complaining about poorly maintained exhibits and inattentive staff flooded his inbox. Even more troubling were the whispers of unethical practices, accusations that animal welfare was being sacrificed for the sake of profit. Such allegations went against everything Evan had worked to build. At 44, with his dark hair now threaded with silver and his sharp blue eyes clouded with concern, Evan felt the weight of his responsibilities pressing down on him. His administrative duties had pulled him away from the front lines, leaving him disconnected from the daily operations he once knew so intimately. As Blue Horizon Aquarium expanded, so too had the gap between his vision for the sanctuary and the reality unfolding within its walls. His trusted operations manager, Derek Palmer, had assured him repeatedly that everything was under control. Yet the complaints continued to surface, and employees continued to quit without notice. Evan could no longer ignore the warning signs. His beloved aquarium, the very embodiment of his passion for marine life, was slipping away from him. Desperate to uncover the truth, Evan resolved to take matters into his own hands. But he knew he couldn't do so from the lofty vantage point of a CEO's office. To truly understand what was happening, he would need to immerse himself in the aquarium's day-to-day operations. He needed to hear the unfiltered experiences of his staff, to see the conditions his animals were enduring, and to expose any corruption festering within his organization. There was only one way to do that. With steely determination, Evan made the decision to go undercover. He would assume the identity of a new maintenance worker, stripping away the power and privilege of his title to experience Blue Horizon Aquarium from the ground up. For the first time in years, Evan felt a renewed sense of purpose. If corruption had rooted itself within his sanctuary, he would find it, and he would eradicate it, no matter the cost. Evan Walker transformed himself from the CEO of Blue Horizon Aquarium into Eric Waters, a low-level maintenance worker eager for a fresh start. Gone were the tailored suits and polished shoes that once defined his professional image. Instead, he donned faded jeans, scuffed work boots, and a plain gray t-shirt that bore the aquarium's logo in chipped print. His usually clean-shaven face was now covered by a few days' worth of scruff, and his dark hair was left tousled beneath a worn baseball cap. The disguise was simple but effective. No one would expect the sharp-eyed CEO to be scrubbing algae from tanks or mopping floors. With a fabricated resume listing experience as a janitor at a local resort, Evan applied for a maintenance position through the aquarium's standard hiring process. His application slipped through unnoticed thanks to the indifference of overworked HR staff and Derek Palmer's lax oversight. It was an oversight that worked in his favor, allowing him to step into the world he had created without the burden of recognition. During his interview with Ryan Hale, the maintenance supervisor, Evan kept his answers short and humble. Ryan, a gruff man in his early 50s with a no-nonsense demeanor, seemed more focused on filling the position than scrutinizing Evan's background. "We're short-staffed and overworked," Ryan admitted, his gaze tired but sharp. If you can follow instructions and keep your head down, you'll do fine. Evan nodded, feigning nervousness. I just want a steady job. Something I can stick with. Satisfied with the response, Ryan handed him a standard-issue uniform, a navy blue coverall with the aquarium's logo stitched over the chest. As Evan slipped into his new role, he realized just how far he had distanced himself from the daily grind. Cleaning algae-coated glass panels, mopping slippery floors, and hauling heavy equipment quickly became part of his routine. The physical labor was grueling, but Evan embraced it with determination. More importantly, his new position granted him access to areas of the aquarium he hadn't visited in years. He worked alongside other maintenance staff, observing their struggles, frustrations, and whispered grievances. Evan's goal was clear: to uncover the truth about Blue Horizon Aquarium's inner workings. But as he dug deeper into the daily operations, he quickly realized that the problems ran far deeper than he had ever imagined. Evan's first week as Eric Waters was a grueling trial of physical endurance and mental observation. He spent his days scrubbing tanks, repairing faulty lights, and cleaning walkways that had been muddied by crowds of visitors. His muscles ached from the unfamiliar labor, but he welcomed the challenge. It kept him focused. More importantly, it allowed him to blend into the background, unnoticed by most of the staff. However, one man was impossible to ignore: Ryan Hale, the maintenance supervisor who had hired him. A burly, middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair and a permanent scowl etched into his weathered face, Ryan was respected and feared in equal measure. His voice was gruff. His commands barked with an impatience born from years of relentless work. Despite his grumpy exterior, Ryan was efficient and detail-oriented, traits Evan couldn't help but admire. Evan soon discovered that Ryan bore the brunt of the aquarium's maintenance woes. As the facility expanded, so did the responsibilities of his department, but the resources allocated to them had not kept pace. Equipment was outdated, tools were missing or broken, and requests for replacements were routinely ignored by upper management, likely Derek Palmer himself. We used to have a team of 10, Ryan grumbled one afternoon as they lugged a heavy crate of cleaning supplies down a narrow corridor. Now it's just me and 4 others, trying to keep this whole damn place running with bubble gum and duct tape. Evan noted the bitterness in Ryan's tone, but also the weariness beneath it. This was a man who cared deeply about his work, but who had been stretched too thin for far too long. Ryan was fiercely protective of his remaining team members, including Samira, a diligent young woman responsible for monitoring the water quality of the tanks, and Trevor, an ex-military man who handled most of the heavy lifting and mechanical repairs. Despite the impossible workload, Ryan refused to cut corners when it came to the well-being of the animals. Evan saw him double-check water filtration systems and test pH levels with meticulous care, grumbling all the while about the lack of proper equipment. But even Ryan's dedication had limits. As the days wore on, Evan noticed the frustration simmering just beneath the surface of Ryan's gruff demeanor. "I've reported these damn issues to Derek 100 times, Ryan snapped one morning when a pump malfunctioned for the 3rd time that week. "All he cares about is how pretty the exhibits look for the guests. Doesn't give a damn if the systems are falling apart behind the scenes." Evan could sense the resentment Ryan harbored toward Derek, and he suspected the animosity ran both ways. Ryan's outspokenness and refusal to compromise on quality made him a thorn in Derek's side, a fact made evident by the minimal funding Ryan's department received. But beyond the grumbling and frustration, Evan saw something else in Ryan: a fierce loyalty to his team and a genuine concern for the animals they worked so hard to protect. It was a glimmer of hope, a sign that not everyone within Blue Horizon Aquarium had been tainted by neglect and greed. If Evan was going to expose the corruption festering within his sanctuary, he would need allies. And Ryan Hale, with his rough exterior and unwavering dedication, was exactly the kind of man he needed on his side. As Evan continued his undercover work at Blue Horizon Aquarium, his eyes were gradually opened to the severity of the exploitation and neglect that plagued the facility. Working long hours beside Ryan and his crew, he witnessed the daily struggles of maintenance workers doing their best to keep the aquarium's systems functioning with inadequate resources. It wasn't just the outdated equipment or the dwindling staff numbers. It was the blatant disregard from upper management that truly troubled him. Ryan's frustration had been more than justified. As the weeks went by, Evan noticed a troubling pattern of budget cuts and overlooked safety concerns. Requests for new filtration systems were ignored, leaks went unrepaired, and broken lights in the deep-sea exhibits remained dark for weeks at a time. Worse yet, employees who dared to speak up were routinely dismissed or threatened with termination. One evening, while helping Samira adjust the chemical levels in the shark tank, Evan noticed the shadows under her eyes and the tremor in her hands. She admitted to working double shifts for the past month due to staff shortages. "They keep cutting our hours, but the work only increases," she said, her voice tight with exhaustion. "Derek's pushing everyone to their limits just to save a few bucks, and if you complain, you're out." Samira's words echoed what Evan had already suspected. Derek Palmer was exploiting the dedication of his employees to maintain his illusion of a pristine, state-of-the-art aquarium. The more Evan observed, the clearer the truth became. Derek cared little for the well-being of the staff or the animals, as long as the guest experience remained flawless. Evan's investigation took a darker turn when he discovered discrepancies in the facility's financial records. With Ryan's help, he managed to access old maintenance logs and compare them to Derek's expense reports. The findings were damning. Derek had been funneling funds meant for equipment repairs and animal care into promotional campaigns and unnecessary renovations aimed purely at attracting more tourists. The visitor count was prioritized over the health of the animals and the safety of the staff. The aquarium's iconic coral reef exhibit, one of its most popular attractions, was in desperate need of an updated filtration system to maintain proper water quality. Yet the funding meant for the upgrade had been diverted to build a flashy new gift shop instead. "I've been begging for that new filter for over a year," Ryan growled as he pored over the reports Evan had managed to compile. "But Derek keeps saying there's no room in the budget, meanwhile he's parading around in a damn suit talking about expansion plans." Even more troubling were the stories Evan heard from the lower-level staff. Trevor, who handled most of the mechanical repairs, confessed that he had been asked to fix machinery with makeshift parts rather than approved replacements. "They'd rather risk a lawsuit than spend money on proper repairs," Trevor muttered bitterly. "One of these days, something's going to go wrong, and it won't be me they blame. It'll be Ryan, or Samira, or some other poor soul trying to hold this place together." The injustice infuriated Evan. The aquarium he had built was meant to be a sanctuary, a place where dedication and passion for marine life could thrive. Yet Derek had twisted it into a profit-driven enterprise where cutting corners and exploiting employees had become standard practice. But Evan wasn't ready to confront Derek. Not yet. He needed more evidence, more support from the people who truly cared about Blue Horizon Aquarium. And most importantly, he needed to gain their trust if he hoped to restore his beloved sanctuary to the vision he had once cherished. The confrontation unfolded on a brisk, overcast morning when Derek Palmer called an all-staff meeting to announce his latest plan to boost revenue, a plan that involved cutting back even further on maintenance costs to fund the construction of a new dining pavilion overlooking the main aquarium tank. As the employees gathered in the conference room, Derek's voice boomed with manufactured enthusiasm. He painted a grand vision of luxurious dining experiences, promising investors and guests alike a spectacle that would redefine aquatic entertainment. His words rang hollow to Evan, who stood at the back of the room, his jaw clenched and his gaze sharp. Derek's ignorance of the deteriorating infrastructure and exploited workforce infuriated him. But the time for observation was over. It was time to act. Once Derek finished his speech, Evan stepped forward, his posture confident and his voice calm but firm. "Before you finalize those plans, Derek, there's something everyone here needs to hear." The room fell silent as Derek's eyes narrowed, clearly irritated by the interruption. "Who the hell are you to barge in like this?" Derek snapped, his arrogance unfazed by the murmurs of curiosity rippling through the crowd. Evan reached into his backpack and retrieved the neatly organized folder of evidence he had spent weeks compiling. "I'm Evan Connors, the owner of Blue Horizon Aquarium," he stated, his voice echoing throughout the room. Gasps of shock spread like wildfire, with Ryan's eyes widening in disbelief and Samira's hand flying to her mouth. Derek's expression faltered, his smugness giving way to panic. "That's impossible," he sputtered, his bravado crumbling. "You're nothing but a low-level employee." Evan locked eyes with him, the fury he had kept simmering now unleashed. "I went undercover because I needed to see what you were doing to this place with my own eyes. And what I found is worse than I could have imagined." He began laying out the documents one by one: financial records showing funds diverted from critical repairs, employee testimonials detailing threats and abuse, maintenance logs proving Derek had ignored repeated warnings about faulty equipment. Derek's face turned pale as he stumbled over his words, attempting to deny the accusations. "You have no idea how hard it is to keep this place running," he stammered. "I did what was necessary." "What was necessary?" Evan shot back, his voice like steel. "You've been exploiting the dedication of your staff and endangering the animals, all for the sake of your own profit. You've turned this aquarium into a corporate machine when it was meant to be a sanctuary." His words struck deep, resonating with the employees who had grown weary of Derek's cruelty. Ryan stepped forward, his voice steady but angry. "He's right. We've been working ourselves to the bone while you sit back and rake in the profits. It's time someone actually listened to us." Evan's gaze swept across the room, meeting the eyes of each worker who had suffered under Derek's oppressive management. "Starting today, things are going to change. Derek, your authority here is officially revoked. You'll be facing an investigation from the board for your embezzlement and mistreatment of staff. I'll make sure of it." Derek's face twisted with disbelief and rage, but he had no allies left to defend him. As he stormed out of the conference room, the weight of his downfall hung heavy in the air. Evan turned to the employees, his voice softer now, but no less determined. "I owe all of you an apology for allowing this to go on for so long, but from this moment forward, I'm committed to making things right." The applause that followed was hesitant at first, but it grew in strength and sincerity, carrying with it the first glimmer of hope Evan had felt in a long time. With Derek officially removed from his managerial position and facing an investigation by the board, Evan wasted no time in implementing immediate reforms to restore Blue Horizon Aquarium's integrity. His first order of business was to establish an open-door policy, encouraging employees to voice their concerns and ideas without fear of retaliation. He spent hours meeting with workers from every department: animal caretakers, maintenance crews, tour guides, and reception staff, listening to their experiences and absorbing their frustrations. The issues were extensive: insufficient staffing, underpaid overtime, equipment breakdowns left unaddressed, and an overwhelming lack of resources. But Evan made a promise that day to fix what had been broken and rebuild the aquarium's foundation on empathy, fairness, and dedication. Evan promoted Ryan to a supervisory role, recognizing his leadership skills and genuine passion for the aquarium's mission. With Ryan's guidance, Evan created a team tasked with assessing the condition of every exhibit and ensuring that animal welfare standards were prioritized above profit. Maintenance schedules were restructured, and critical repairs were carried out immediately. Evan also overhauled the payroll system, ensuring fair wages and overtime compensation for all employees. Those who had been unfairly terminated or pressured into quitting were contacted and offered their positions back, along with personal apologies and assurances of better treatment going forward. Determined to regain the employees' trust, Evan made his presence known throughout the aquarium. He rolled up his sleeves and worked alongside them, cleaning tanks, preparing meals for the animals, and learning the daily struggles firsthand. His commitment was genuine, and over time, the staff began to see him as an ally rather than a distant, detached figurehead. More importantly, Evan's efforts to improve working conditions weren't just symbolic. He hired additional staff to relieve the burden on overworked employees and invested in training programs to enhance skills and promote career growth. As Evan's reforms began to take shape, the atmosphere at Blue Horizon Aquarium transformed. The oppressive tension that had once weighed down the halls was gradually replaced by a renewed sense of purpose and camaraderie. It was only the beginning, but Evan was determined to see his mission through, no matter how long it took. Evan recognized that Ryan's dedication and potential were invaluable assets to Blue Horizon Aquarium. He made it a priority to ensure Ryan's talent and leadership were nurtured rather than exploited. With Derek gone, Ryan was given the authority to implement his ideas without the constant threat of punishment or dismissal. To acknowledge Ryan's efforts, Evan promoted him to the position of operations supervisor, granting him a salary increase and the ability to lead his own team. Evan also encouraged Ryan to take the initiative in developing new enrichment programs for the animals, ideas that Derek had previously dismissed as too expensive or unnecessary. During one of their strategy meetings, Ryan expressed his desire to create a dedicated enrichment fund, allowing caretakers to request resources for habitat improvements, mental stimulation activities, and veterinary care, without unnecessary red tape. Evan enthusiastically approved the proposal, allocating a portion of the aquarium's budget specifically for Ryan's project. Encouraged by Evan's support, Ryan threw himself into his work with newfound enthusiasm, collaborating with his colleagues to design innovative activities that prioritize the animal's well-being. Evan also encouraged Ryan to pursue further training in animal welfare and management, even offering to cover the costs of certifications and workshops. Ryan's leadership skills flourished under Evan's mentorship, his confidence growing as his efforts were finally valued and respected. It wasn't long before Ryan's innovative ideas began to produce tangible results. Animals that had once shown signs of stress and boredom now exhibited more natural, healthy behaviors. Visitor satisfaction improved as guests marveled at the lively, engaging exhibits and appreciated the staff's dedication to conservation and education. But more than the practical improvements, Evan's unwavering support gave Ryan something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Hope that his work truly mattered, that his passion could make a difference, and that his voice was finally being heard. The transformation was evident not only in Ryan's leadership, but also in his interactions with his colleagues, who now looked to him for guidance and inspiration. With Evan's mentorship, Ryan emerged as a trusted leader dedicated to making Blue Horizon Aquarium a place of compassion, excellence, and integrity. With Derek gone and Ryan thriving in his new leadership role, Evan focused on rebuilding Blue Horizon Aquarium's integrity and reputation. His first step was implementing structural changes to ensure transparency, accountability, and genuine care for both employees and animals. Evan conducted personal meetings with each department, inviting staff members to share their concerns and ideas without fear of retribution. This open dialogue revealed deeper issues that Derek's negligence had buried, ranging from outdated safety protocols to poorly maintained habitats. Evan addressed each concern systematically, starting with employee welfare. Salaries were adjusted to reflect fair compensation, and a new schedule was introduced to prevent burnout. Additionally, Evan prioritized improving the aquarium's facilities, investing in cutting-edge equipment, updated enclosures, and enhanced veterinary resources. Ryan's enrichment program became a cornerstone of the aquarium's revitalization, promoting healthier, happier animals that delighted visitors with their vibrant energy and natural behaviors. Evan also initiated a public relations campaign to showcase Blue Horizon's transformation, highlighting the improved welfare of the animals and the dedication of its staff. Visitors began to notice the difference, not only in the quality of the exhibits, but also in the passion and professionalism of the employees. The aquarium's renewed focus on conservation, education, and empathy attracted positive attention from the community and environmental organizations alike. What once was a place tainted by neglect and exploitation had blossomed into a sanctuary of integrity and inspiration where both animals and people could truly thrive. Months after Derek's removal, Blue Horizon Aquarium had undergone a remarkable transformation. Under Evan's leadership and Ryan's dedicated efforts, the aquarium flourished into a beacon of ethical conservation and education. Employees who had once felt undervalued and overworked now thrived in an environment where their voices were heard, their contributions respected, and their welfare prioritized. Evan's open-door policy encouraged creativity and innovation, leading to new exhibits, improved care protocols, and collaborative programs with marine biologists and conservationists. Ryan's enrichment initiatives became a standout feature of the aquarium, drawing praise from visitors and experts alike. His dedication to creating engaging, species-appropriate activities for the animals enhanced their well-being and captivated audiences with displays of natural behaviors. Meanwhile, Evan's transparency and genuine care for his staff inspired loyalty and motivation across all departments. The aquarium's reputation rebounded with glowing reviews from both visitors and conservation organizations. Blue Horizon's success became a testament to the power of compassionate leadership, where both animals and employees thrived. More importantly, it became a place where Ryan's passion for marine life could flourish, supported by a leader who valued his potential. As Evan watched a group of children marvel at a playful sea lion, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. His mission to rebuild the aquarium had not only succeeded, it had become something far greater than he had ever imagined. The story of Evan Walters' undercover journey at Blue Horizon Aquarium reveals powerful lessons about leadership, empathy, and accountability. As CEO, Evan's decision to immerse himself among his employees demonstrated the importance of understanding the struggles and challenges faced by those on the front lines. By shedding his authority and listening to his staff without bias, he uncovered deep-rooted exploitation and neglect that had been hidden from him for far too long. Evan's journey highlights that effective leadership isn't about control or prestige. It's about genuinely valuing and supporting the people who make success possible. His commitment to transparency, collaboration, and fairness not only salvaged the aquarium's reputation, but also cultivated a culture of creativity and integrity. Additionally, Evan's mentorship of Ryan proves that recognizing potential and providing opportunities for growth can lead to remarkable innovation and transformation. Ultimately, the story teaches us that real success isn't measured solely by profits or reputation, but by the well-being and fulfillment of the people and animals that rely on leadership to thrive. Empathy and accountability are the foundations of lasting change, and leaders who embrace these qualities can create environments where everyone can flourish.